Ring ring, it's time for another episode of Crossplay Conversations, the show where we dive deep into the world of video games while keeping it light. I'm your host, Luke Lewis, and today I am joined by the 3D printed man himself, Jacob McCourt.
Hello, I've 3D printed a very small recycle bin that if you watch the video version on YouTube, you can see.
It's very cute.
That's awesome.
Alongside the cozy queen, Claire Lewis.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Did you 3D print anything?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's fair. That'd be straight.
I didn't even
if you did, it would be like,
anything.
wow, how did that happen?
No.
Jacob's got more props. Is that a sword?
It's a very small sword that
Sure.
actually unlocks shopping carts if you put it into the little slot. Do y'all have that in the States? Shopping carts that you need to put a coin in?
No, but that's not a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Why is it a bad idea?
You have to pay to use a shopping cart?
Yeah, you put a quarter in the shopping cart, it unlocks it, and you get your quarter back once you do your shopping, but it's very much to not encourage people just to steal shopping carts.
Oh, okay. So it's not
That seems fine.
It's not like
yeah.
every 50 minutes you have to put a quarter in to keep your shopping cart from
it's just
shutting
like
down.
a get
Okay.
it.
It's a cart deposit, if you will.
Yeah.
They have those at the airport.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. That's
Yeah.
not like unusual. I respect it. Right on.
So is that's how
That's
you
how you
scam
do
the
it?
system? You stick those
Yeah,
in
this
You use
Exactly.
Your
that
sword.
tricks it?
you put this on a little keychain, and then you put this sword into the deposit, and then your keys sit there, so you also don't lose those. And then once you're done, it pops right out.
All right. Well, hopefully the Canadian Mounties and authorities aren't listening to this, but we won't clip
Be
anything
cool.
out.
Be cool.
Be cool, chat. All right, y'all. We are here to do another indie game roundup because, once again, we're playing so many games. Even just this past week, there were a bunch more that we're not talking about yet, but I'm sure we will on future episodes. We're talking about Dosa Divas, Fishbowl, and Planet of Lana II that we've all been playing in recent weeks. But before that, let's jump into our icebreaker question. We all have seen the smash hit blockbuster film Super Mario Galaxy, so we got to talk about it. I'm going to start with Claire, because I feel like of the three of us, you're the biggest Super Mario Galaxy game fan, so I'd love to hear
That's at
your
least
thoughts overall on the movie.
definitely true for the first game. I
Sure.
inexplicably never played the second game, which doesn't make any sense.
But you own it now, so you can get into that.
Little kid Claire had some weird anxiety, and I think I thought that the second game would maybe not live up, and I was stressed that it would ruin it for me, which doesn't make any sense, but, here we are. But yeah, I was obsessed
First game was a very
with the first
special
game.
game
I
for you,
played
yeah.
it to completion, like, with Mario and Luigi at least 3
With the
different
bad
times.
jump.
100%ing, getting all the purple
Wow.
coins, all of that, like, doing everything. I was obsessed with it. I loved it so much. So seeing the movie and having all the Easter eggs was really fun. And I liked all of the, like, musical cue nods throughout the film. I thought that it was really fun to see parts of that realized, but then there were other things where I'm like, especially with the plot, I was like, why'd you gotta go and mess with that? The plot was already there. We didn't need to change it. I will say, I think that this movie got a lot of flack from the critics, adult critics, talking about various reasons why they didn't like it. The film's target demographic, small children, I work with, a lot of small children, and I would say that every small child I asked who had seen the film gave it glowing reviews. So amongst the target demographic, it's definitely performing well and well received.
On that note of small children, I gotta shout out Jess Cogswell at GameSpot put up an interview article with her 4-year-old son, interviewing him about his thoughts on the movie, and I'll link it in the description because it'll make your day. It's the most adorable shit I've ever seen. 10 out of 10. Very much enjoyed it, if you were wondering on his take. Jacob, where were you at on the Mario movie?
Yeah, look, I think I have a childlike brain, and so I really liked it. I kid. I went in with the appropriate expectations, where this is a movie that is geared towards children, and it will be a fun romp for those who have played it. Claire, you mentioned the music. The music was my favorite part of the entire movie. It was phenomenal. To the point where it is on Spotify, and the next day I was listening to it. Just the way they melded all of Mario's history and even characters from outside of sort of the direct Mario universe. there's a moment, and we know this, it's spoiler light, this discussion. There's a Star Fox is in the movie. We know this because we've seen the posters and Glenn talking about it. But there's a moment where they mix Star Fox music and Super Mario Galaxy music, and I just about died. It
so
tickled
cool.
me in a way that I wasn't expecting. It's a totally fine movie as long as you go in with the appropriate expectations, and whatever they do next, I'm in for.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You segued perfectly into Star Fox, which was going to be my gush about this moment, but like that animated sequence, the do a barrel roll, all the little Easter eggs there, I thought was chef's kiss. And also getting Glenn Powell off of Top Gun to come in and do Star Fox, like that
perfect casting.
Yeah, I just had a blast with that.
Luke is obsessed with Glenn Powell also.
He's my guy. You know what I mean? Like there's some actors where you see him in a movie and you're like, I'm going to watch it because so-and-so's in it. And for whatever reason, after Top Gun and Hitman and like, he's just made some good movies for the sake of going to the movies. I don't know. Good vibes out there. Got to shout out Donald Glover also.
Yeah, that was
quite a good Yoshi voice.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it, but it was quite good.
It's almost like everyone except Mario and Peach,
had their
look. I'm not gonna disparage folks, but I don't think, Chris Pratt is just the everyman, and so I guess he gets a pass. I think I liked Anya Taylor-Joy more as Peach in this film, but to me, it's about everybody else. I think Brie Larson as Rosalina is frickin' perfect.
Yeah, lovely.
And just another set of really great casting there.
Yeah, definitely agreed. I feel like I went in with similar expectations of like everyone was kind of trashing it before we went to see it because we went to see it like the second week it was out.
Yeah,
so
didn't see it right away.
by then I had, if anything, low expectations and just had a fun time.
Fun.
You grab a tub of popcorn, you chuckle along the way. Like the scene where Bowser's telling Bowser Jr. the bedtime story. Like I thought that whole sequence was really
Tiny
cute
Bowser was
and fun.
hilarious. Jack Black does such a good job of just like being zany and crazy.
Did his character arc of like switching sides constantly. He's going to work for the bees. He's not going to work for the bees. Now he's over here. Now he's over there. Like it didn't make any sense, but to some extent, who cares? I'm tempted to go back and rewatch the first one because I feel like the first one had a more coherent like through line plot that moment to moment made more sense, but it was a fun time. I'm curious, looking at the future, it feels like they're building up to cinematic universe, other spin-off movies. This movie did quite well despite critics, bagging on it. What do y'all want to see in terms of other character standalone movies? Are you hoping for a team-up thing? What's, like, the ideal scenario here as we're heading into, like, a Nintendo MCU vibe, Jacob?
So, I think at one point we were talking about a Donkey Kong movie. Donkey Kong, noticeably absent from this film. Seth Rogen voiced him in the first movie. So I think in descending order of likelihood, I think a Donkey Kong standalone movie is the thing that they will probably do. Maybe not next, but that will happen.
Sure.
To your point, a Super Smash Brothers movie is obviously the next natural progression of this.
Can you imagine Sakurai out here getting involved as an EP? What a time.
Could not. But can I throw my dark horse out here that I'd really like to see?
Hit me with it.
Mario Tennis movie.
Okay.
Mario Tennis. What's the tone of this Mario Tennis movie? Are we thinking Challengers vibes out here, or what's
we're thinking we're not Challengers vibes because that's a little too sexy for Nintendo.
Like the anime side of Challengers, perhaps.
Yes.
Like
like an anime. Yes, very much like every hero anime out there. That would make a great series, but they're not going to do a series. But yeah, that's my dark horse.
Cool.
Because I think Daisy, when I think of Daisy and her games, I think of Mario Tennis weirdly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Claire, I let's answer the first question, but then I also would love your dark horse pick as well.
So for me, Mario Galaxy was like the thing that I wanted to happen. So I'm really stoked. I liked how they incorporated elements of Odyssey in there as well. I just feel like there's a lot more world to explore. You got to imagine the next one we're gonna get Daisy, whatever it is. A sports thing would be really fun, but Smash Bros and Donkey Kong, I think that makes sense for what's gonna happen.
Sure.
Would be wild to like get Kirby up in here to some extent.
The funny thing, though, is, like, I think about young kids, and it's like, they've probably played Smash Ultimate, because, like, Switch, everybody had one in their house at some point, but, like, they don't know most of those characters.
Yeah.
So, like, would it have the same affinity of, like, it'll be, like, endgame for us old folks?
But did those kids really know Star Fox, or was Star Fox in
just
there for us?
cool looking guy? I think it's mostly that, and then likely what I imagine is that, because my answer is Star Fox in terms of, like, I think Donkey Kong is imminent, but I think they're kind of testing the waters of, like, here's Glen Powell, do we like Glen Powell? There's rumors that a new Star Fox game is in the works, so I think if timing is of the essence, it would make a ton of sense for Nintendo to have, like, within the same year, a new game, Glen Powell movie hit. So that would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right that a spinoff.
I think my dark horse pick, let's get weird, give me a Pikmin. Give me like Pixar
Pikmin
Wall-E
showing up,
studio
I literally
Pikmin.
screamed. That would be amazing.
I just think that'd be so fun, and like little guy, big world, like mystery adventure. Just, I feel like that I can write that movie script outline like right now, and I just feel like that'd be a really fun kids movie. So I go pick
Illumination loves the little guys. I mean, I think that
like
the
with
Lumas
minions and everything, sure.
Lumas were wonderful in this movie.
Minions, of course.
So Pikmin is a great call out. I think the one thing, just to go back to the Smash universe thing, I have always felt that Nintendo has despised the popularity of Smash. And so them jumping into a Smash movie and creating a multiversal Mario thing is actually them admitting, okay, fine, you can have your stupid Smash, we hate it, but sure, fine. So part of me wonders, if they do the multiversal thing, do they just not make it a Smash movie and just call it something dumb like the broad world of Nintendo, instead of acknowledging that Smash is something that people like?
I mean, it's possible, just because, like, then they wouldn't necessarily have to include all of those characters. Like, I'm thinking about, like, the Fire Emblem or Earthbound folks that, like, aren't just going to have touchstones for even a lot of mainstream gamers. That's that I would like to see those characters in an animated movie, because I think it'd be cool. But, yeah, I think that I could see that. I think it'll just depend, like, if these next couple movies keep being successful and they do the quote phase 1 of like 4 or 5 of these
we're MCUing
movies. I mean, they like money. It's I am interested. One other wrinkle to throw out there just for consideration. I personally would love to see an animated Zelda movie, but I know we're getting this live action one that they're filming in New Zealand. Hunter Schafer is involved as Princess Zelda and all that. How are we feeling about that one amidst the
Perfect
animation
casting.
World? Okay.
Yeah, Hunter Schafer as Zelda, wonderful. But yeah, but again, Nintendo doesn't always, and maybe this has changed over time, but they don't always make the choice that is what will give us the most money. So maybe we won't see a multiverse. Maybe they'll wait for a Zelda animated series. I don't know. But they did create the Nintendo Pictures group of companies, and they've done those weird shorts, including the one with Pikmin, I believe. So maybe we just get, a deal with Netflix where we get a Pikmin animated series, or a, I don't know, Star Fox animated series rather than another film.
Yeah, I could see it. I think to your point too, some of those properties would make more sense as a show or as a 20-minute children's cartoon or bite-sized. I know like Sonic has had a lot of success in that realm with the Netflix shows and whatnot for kids.
I mean, the 4th one's coming out this holiday season or early next year. Yep. So
that trailer got a big pop in our theater. Folks were very excited. Claire, how are you feeling about Zelda and adjacent live action stuff?
I mean, I haven't been keeping so much tabs on it, except for when they announced the casting and people were throwing hate, which people are always going to do when it comes to casting characters, I feel like, but I didn't agree with any of that. And I'm just I'm along for the ride. I'm just here to see what happens. I think
you will watch the movie when they come out.
We got into the movie to see Super Mario Galaxy movie. We got in there, the movie started, and I turned to you, and I was just like, I am realizing now that I have not seen any trailer I have seen zero marketing. I saw that Donald Glover was Yoshi, and I saw a poster, and that's it. So I have no idea what's coming, and I was like, that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun to just go in blind like that. So, yeah.
You didn't watch the direct that was 15 minutes long where
No.
they announced Donald Glover as the voice of Yoshi?
No.
And he didn't say anything?
The fun thing about Burnout is that you stop doing things.
That's fair. Yeah, anyhow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Speaking
that's
of
all I got.
Burnout,
we're talking about Burnout Paradise 2. No, I wish. That'd be really, really cool, everybody. We are talking about some cool games, though. Jumping into our indie review roundup. We got a trio of some bangers today. We're talking about Dosa Divas, Fishbowl, and Planet of Lana. Kicking things off, Jacob, last week you and I put out a short little video snippet kind of teasing our early impressions of Dosa Divas. We played a bit more of the game since then, but for listeners who maybe didn't catch that, do you want to give the quick elevator pitch for what this game is?
yeah, so Dosa Divas is a small to medium scale JRPG inspired game where you play as two sisters and their cooking robot or their cooking mech who have to take on an evil corporation run by their sister who is trying to make food more boring and profitable and ubiquitous. And so your job is to defeat her evil minions while also cooking some really good food, usually dosas and things like it. I'm let's call it 3 hours into the game. I'm in the second area of the game at this point. It is supposedly about a dozen hours long. I don't know how you feel, Luke, but I'm enjoying it still. I think it's a really cool, neat game. This is my vibe. We said in our short form video, please go check it out on YouTube, that this reminds me very much of the scope, scale, size of Costume Quest. And if you give me any RPG in the mold of a Costume Quest, I'm in. And so the one thing I'll say compared to that video that I am cognizant about is I'm not sure how much the combat's going to evolve over time. We might get to the point where by the end of the game we're like, cool, I've seen everything there is to see about this combat and I'm just trying to see the end. But that is my only reservation thus far, is I just don't know how much more they're going to layer on to the combat itself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think, I'm really enjoying my time with it still so far. I'm about 3.5-ish, so I'm in that second area that you were mentioning as well, but the moment to moment is delightful. The combat is just the right amount of engaging, and I think, like you said, this is kind of my ideal RPG, something you can beat in a couple sittings but still experience cool turn-based combat, interesting writing and characters, and I think the world is really beautiful and fun to explore and really stylized in a neat way. I have similar reservations about the combat, where even where I'm at now, I feel like I'm breezing through fights. Like, I'm thinking about it, but since I'm now pretty familiar with the mechanics, I feel like I'm just, like, plowing through enemies and moving on. The bigger boss fights, I feel like I'm doing some more strategic thinking with, which is cool. But it's quite easy so far, but that's not a that's not a ding. That's just kind of a, depending on what you're looking for, this is a pretty approachable combat system.
Yeah.
I was surprised by there's voice acting in this too.
Yes.
Nice.
Which, not throughout, but it very much does the
Like important
JRPG
moments.
thing. Important moments are voiced, and the voice acting's quite good too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
Claire, you were going to ask a question?
So I think the thing we had with Costume Quest was that it kind of felt in combat scenarios like you're just going through the motions. You're gonna do this, and then they'll do that, and you like know you're eventually gonna win if you just stick with the certain strategy, and it doesn't necessarily feel super engaging at a certain point. It's just like, okay, we're just gonna do this, and then we'll keep walking around and doing the fun stuff. Does it feel like that at all? Does it feel like there's, you know, a real strategy to the combat that you have to really engage with, like in like an Octopath?
I think there's strategy light to it, if you will, where there's two things that have to that make sure that you are paying attention. The first is that there is a parry system involved, and so when an enemy attacks you, you have the opportunity to either dodge, where you're sort of taking partial damage, or you're parrying and you are taking no damage. I don't know if that's the right nomenclature, but that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it is there is sort of a weakness system in the enemies. So your moves have a style, let's call it, spicy or savory or salty. And based on the attack that you use against the enemy, you may be able to break their shield. So there is a little bit of strategy within it. But at least in the first couple of hours that I have played, you get a base attack that is always the same. And then you have special attacks tied to SP. I just don't know at the end of it how many of those you're going to have. At this stage, let's say we have, 2 or 3 per character that use up SP. And then I just actually got a special, which Luke, you would have probably gotten too, where everybody attacks.
Yeah.
So there is some variety. I just worry if, by the time you get to hour 8, 9, 10, is it going to feel stale? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to that too, what has felt nice is the how quick the non-major story boss fights are. You're kind of blowing through them in a similar way to like a Pokemon, where you're out exploring, random encounter, fight that random encounter, move on. So the pace is quite good, and you're regularly breaking that up with the cooking mini games and talking to different characters and going about the story. So yeah, the moment to moment is really quite nice. You can pet a dog, which I enjoyed.
Yep.
You gotta be able to pet a dog.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. You can pet a dog.
There's fishing.
Yeah, there's a fishing mini game. We also haven't talked about the dosa making specifically, but there's almost these WarioWare or Venba style mini games where you're cooking and you can find different ingredients to make people's food to order, but then you can also freestyle make up your own recipes, and the game kind of recognizes that, which is quite fun. So there's that really significant cultural representation piece within the story that I think is really, really rad as well.
Yeah. And
the way it integrally ties into this narrative about corporate structure and societal trends and all this commentary that I think is really well done as well.
Nice. It's really colorful.
Yeah. No, it's super rad. I would, if anyone listening is at all intrigued, highly recommend. The only caveat is if you're looking for a crazy challenge, not the one for you, but just in terms of vibes, narrative, and compelling gameplay.
Yeah, I'm gonna see this one through to the end. So maybe on a future episode you can ask, hey, how did Dosa Divas end?
Yeah.
But even the dosa making, there's not just dosa. Sometimes you'll make a bun or something else, and so within the movements that you'll do in cooking, there's probably 6 to 8 different movements, and depending on the ingredients you put in, each dosa making experience is a little bit different from the motions you go through. And then the other thing that I will say is that the enemy scaling is actually good too, where as you go through a world, every world feels like, maybe this is the wrong, an archipelago, is that it's basically an island that is either underground, above ground, but they're just these sets of land that have bridges between them that you go between. And as you make your way through the world, when you first encounter enemies, there's a bit of a challenge, but as you're getting towards the end of the world, at least in the 2 worlds that I've gone through, you can just breeze through enemies. You will scale to the point where you'll be able to easily beat an enemy, and I think sometimes you can even avoid some encounters too. So they've thought about that, and it seems good so far.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely agreed. Big shout out to Popagenda for sending code over for us to check this one out. Really appreciate it. For folks, if you do end up playing, drop this game a Steam review, because they're sitting at 12 reviews
12
right
is
now,
ridiculous
and they
for this game.
deserve infinite positive reviews. And they also made this one in 2 years, which I just recently found out, which I think is crazy. Really, really solid
Did
game.
you play Thirsty Suitors? You did, Luke.
I
didn't
did.
You?
I loved Thirsty Suitors. Yeah, I really enjoyed it at the time, and I think this is a nice evolution of that game in a lot of ways. But if you're looking for another cool vibes, turn-based combat, that one goes more into the teen punk skater culture in terms of vibes, but also has some cool cooking mini games and familial narrative stuff going on as well. So highly recommend that one as well. Awesome.
There's a demo on Steam for Dosa Divas also.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Love to see it.
Check it out.
Jacob, we've also been playing Fishbowl from I Miss My Friend Studios.
Yeah, again, shout out to our friends at Wholesome for sending code over for this one. Fishbowl, I have finished it. Luke, how far are you through it?
I'm about halfway. I would say I was bouncing between this one and Dosa, so I'm still working my way through it, but really enjoying it overall. I'd love to hear, because we did our preview impressions on it, and I've played a fair bit post where we left off in the demo, but I'd love to hear kind of your overall thoughts without getting into spoilers about like where the story goes, if you feel like it sticks the landing.
Yeah, and we'll be spoiler very light here, so no worries about if you haven't played it. Worry about getting spoiled on it. So in this game, you play as a young adult who is going off into the big city to take a new job and after college kind of live life, knowing that there's a few pieces to this that you need to deal with. One, you are doing this right at the heat of, or the height of the pandemic, and so it is a time where, imagine it is March or April of 2020, where we don't really know anything that's happening, and so you're just stuck indoors and you're not seeing friends, you're not seeing family, limited human contact. And then also your grandmother has passed away, who had a very significant sort of impact on your own life. So you're dealing with new city, new apartment, living on your own, new job, and a significant family member has passed away. And so a lot of the game is just going through the motions of a single day as Aloe, who is the player character in this one, where you are dealing with working online, where you're working as a video editor, you're trying to take care of your apartment, your mother sends you a lot of your grandmother's belongings to sort through, and also you're dealing with like, how do I live on my own, and how do I take care of myself. And so most of it is going through these little mini games. Let's call it maybe 10 to 15 different mini games. There's an unpacking mini game, there's a little video editing mini game, and then there's these other ones where it's like cook or clean or whatever. And beyond that, you're just experiencing a story. And having played through the whole thing, I'm really happy to say that I was surprised at how well they landed it.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
To the point where it really hit me in a way that was, not that it shocked me, but it definitely over-delivered from an emotional impact standpoint for me.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Luke, I don't know how you feel. You're about halfway in, right?
Yeah, I'm still loving it. I was really high on the game during the preview, and this was one of my most anticipated indies of the year that we've chatted about on the show numerous times. And yeah, every time I pick it up and play more, I love the progression. I think just the overall presentation of the game, I think, is really, really great. I think the pixel art looks awesome. I love, as you're unpacking these boxes from your grandmother and uncovering these memories, it presents it in almost like a journal-like fashion, where then you're reading about what each item in the box meant to your character and your grandmother, and then you're experiencing this flashback sequence, which I'm just not super used to seeing this type of presentation in a pixel game, to have that level of narrative and that level of like interaction moment to moment. And I think I got into a rhythm with it where I just kind of enjoy going through the day to day, and you get little narrative tidbits throughout your days. You're doing these tasks, you'll get a phone call from a friend or a family member, and you'll chat with them and get a little more narrative context, and then you'll unpack another box, which gives you this flashback. And yeah, it's just it's very satisfying and cathartic in the similar way that unpacking or Venba was for me. And I'm just a sucker for a well-written, well-presented narrative game, and I think this is definitely one of a must-play for anyone who's a fan of that genre.
I think it's probably the game post-pandemic that has nailed the feeling of going through the motions day by day.
Yeah,
it's the best I've experienced of that. And I don't mean to make it sound like the game is monotonous.
No.
But there is a certain level of just, you said it, going through the motions of, I need to do my laundry, and I need to make sure I drink water, and I need to make sure that my house is clean and water my plants. And within that, there are small moments of levity or joy that you get to experience of, there's a there's a moment where you get a birdhouse and you start cleaning out the birdhouse, and then when you clean it out, a bird goes and lives there, and so you get to experience that. You get a maybe I won't spoil this, but there are elements that you end up getting that lead to small little moments of joy, and that's sort of the pandemic where it was monotonous, it was tough to do, it was bleak, but then there were these lovely, beautiful moments of levity in there. And Luke, you may have seen some of the narrative breadcrumbing that they're doing throughout of there is something that you're leading somewhere as far as the story goes. And I would say in the last 90 minutes, they take all of the pieces that they've breadcrumbed through the story, and there's an emotional sort of impact, and I think that they tie it together super, super well. So I'm really excited for you to there's a moment that happens that just takes all these little breadcrumbs and brings them together, and it actually, I was surprised at how well it worked.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I'm super excited to finish it. I definitely plan to keep going, and I'm sure this one will pop up on our end of year conversations amidst our creatively cozy game category. Or Claire, I highly recommend you check this one out. I think you'd really enjoy it, and I think something I want to highlight for folks amidst this conversation, it being a great representation of the pandemic. I think at a surface level that can kind of sound intimidating, but I think the game does such a good job with its pacing, where when we're talking about going through the motions of a day, we're talking about 15 minutes, give or take, or less, as you're going through these different mini games, you're opening the boxes and you're experiencing these narrative flashbacks. Like, it moves pretty quickly, and you're always in control of like how you're spending the time. We also didn't talk about there's almost like a happiness meter. So as you like do more self-care related things, your happiness can go up. But then if you there's little clever things like if you sit on the couch, you'll automatically doom scroll on your phone without a choice, and then your happiness will go down. So like you kind of choose how to self-direct
or Luke,
that
depending
time.
on how your happiness is, your character may not doom scroll at all.
Oh, interesting. Because I've been avoiding that after I saw it was like detrimental the first time I did. So I'm like, I'm just not going to go to the couch. I'm just going to.
So you can eventually get to a happiness level where it doesn't allow you to doom scroll, where your character's like,
I'm
Hey,
so
get that in
good.
real
I'm
life?
above
That
it. That's
sounds
amazing.
yeah. And the thing, to your point, Luke, the thing that they'll set up at the beginning is, hey, there are no paths that are, or the game doesn't stop. You just. I'm paraphrasing, but like you just sort of exist and you will see an ending, even if your character is super unhappy.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. And then the one thing that we'll mention here is obviously this is a small Indian development team.
Yeah,
and so
2 people.
Indian culture on display here, which I love. Both in very much like Dosa Divas, very much in food and in there's a tea shop that's owned by the family, and so in the tea, and also the just the characters that you'll see, look a little bit different than maybe the characters that we're used to seeing in some other Indian games, which I love. There's a project seemingly, and again, I'm not fully versed on this, but it seems like there's a PlayStation initiative that focused on Indian game development that this came out of.
That's awesome.
I think it's Project. I'll have to look at what it is, but you see sort of a PlayStation co-funding.
Like when you boot up the game,
when you boot up the game
as well. Yeah, no, it's super rad. This one's out on Steam and PS5, so a couple different ways to play it. Big shout out once again to I Miss My Friends Studio and Wholesome Games Presents for sending over the code for this one, but super excited to finish it. And listeners, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Go on
this
an
came out of
emotional
the
journey.
PlayStation India Hero Project is sort of what this came out of, and so you'll see it is not available on Xbox. It is available on PC and PlayStation consoles.
Yeah, and on a technical level too, this game super polished, plays really well. So the 2-person dev team behind this one really knocked it out of the park. Awesome. So that's Fishbowl. Claire, you have been a bit quiet on these last 2, so I want to kick it to you first to talk about our next one, which was a sequel to one of your favorite recent releases, Planet of Lana II.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely plan to play both of the games you just talked about, especially after hearing you talk about them. But what I have been playing, in addition to Pokopia, I have just started checking out Planet of Lana II. Not super far at this point, but definitely plan to see it through. I have been highly anticipating this one because I loved Planet of Lana. It's beautiful, as you can see if you're watching the video version of this podcast, and you can see the Steam trailer that's playing right now. It of course is beautiful. I think that the first game had a lot of really, really gorgeous landscapes, backdrops. Everything in Planet of Lana 2 so far seems to be bigger scale. There's more people, there are more things in the background, and I think the scale of the journey they're setting up that we are going to go on is also bigger. There are, so far, it seems like more diverse and challenging puzzles. It's a puzzle platformer 2D adventure game where you are, in the first game, you are trying to find and save your sister, and then the second game has a different setup, but it centers more around uncovering what happened to your predecessors and how y'all got on this planet in the first place and what happened there. There's a lot of mystery and story in the background there that it feels somewhat dark and heavy. I think one of the criticisms we had of the first game was that the puzzles were not always super interesting or engaging because, especially early on, they just felt kind of simple. So far, I really like the diversity of puzzles that they've introduced in this second game. There's underwater stuff and swimming, and like some things involving machines that are a little bit different. So yeah, so far I'm really liking it, and I can't wait to see all these other areas I haven't gotten to yet that's shown in the trailer here. But Jacob, I think you've played a little bit more than me. Do you want to speak to that as it progresses in the game?
Yeah, so I've played about 2 hours of Planet of Lana 2, and I played Planet of Lana 1 immediately before this to prepare myself for Planet of Lana 2. Nice. So I went right from 1 into 2, and I think I bounced off with all these new releases coming out just because they truly seem like two halves of the same whole. Where, yes, it is 2 years later. Yes, you have a few different moves, both Mui, your alien cat-like companion, as well as your character can sort of dash and slide in this one where they couldn't in the first game. But it very much is still little guy, big world game where there is, like games by Playdead, there are enemies that can come after you if you don't do a puzzle correctly. Some of the puzzle rooms, quote-unquote, are somewhat simple, and once you figure out the one thing, you can get through it. It's somewhat unobtrusive. It kind of wants you to see the end. Like you said, beautiful. Like you said, the story is a little bit more involved this time around. You get more moves, but it is not to say it's more of the same, but it is an evolution, not a revolution in gameplay. So I think it'll be rad for people to grab. I think of like a year from now where you could get both games in a bundle for like, $20. I think it is very cool.
Bundle exists now for about $20 on Xbox from what I was seeing.
Please grab it. Yeah. Please grab it because Planet of Lana 1 is great, and this game, from what I've played so far, is great. I just don't know how different it will end up feeling compared to the first.
I will say, so it just flashed on the screen, this snowy area. I just got there. I don't know, Jacob, if you have progressed past the snowy area, or like what chapter you're in the game.
I'm at the end of, I'm assuming the end of this snow world.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing just in the trailer that there are a lot of other environments that I haven't seen yet either. So I'm interested in that, and especially like the more industrial areas and where there's other people involved. Like there seem to be enemy humans, which wasn't a thing in the last game. So I'm really excited to see how that kind of evolves throughout the game. I know in Planet of Lana 1, I think the first, I would say, third of the game, the puzzles felt like very samey, very simple. You learn that one mechanic, like you said, and then you get through it, and it was more about Like, I'm interested in what the story is and what happened here, because I love a game where you have to figure out what happened using clues, and there's no spoken or written language outside of the prologue tells you what happened in the first game, but aside from that, the language is a constructed language for the game that is not a previously existing language, and there's no subtitles and there's no written word, so you are figuring out what's going on through context clues and images, which I think is just that's what I like in a game. I like to figure out what happened, and it was more about that in Planet of Lana 1, but then the last, I would say third, the challenge of the game really ramped up, and there was more complexity and more almost intensity. And some of the trickiness to that was that the platforming didn't always feel super solid. I feel like so far, the puzzles starting off Planet of Lana 2 are more interesting than at the start of Planet of Lana 1.
I think there is still like a weird, slow, deliberate pacing to the platforming where your jump, there's a delay where it almost seems like your character has to sort of prepare himself to jump, where it's not like a Meat Boy, because I know, Luke, you were playing Meat Boy 3D.
Sure.
There's not that very
not
fast jump.
Satisfaction. It's more.
It's a slow paced jump, and that's just the way it's been. Claire, just one comment on what you mentioned about the setup of the game too. I think it was super cool how in the first game, there was no acknowledgement of. There was no narration. There was no one that said, hey, this is what the story is.
Yeah.
But at the start of this game, they go, hey, this is the only time it's going to happen. We are going to tell you what happened in Planet of Lana 1, but know that there will not be any narration after this, and it is up to, as you said, your interpretation.
Yeah.
I don't think you often see that in games, and I liked it. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you have to interpret what's going on through context clues and just like the language barrier between the player and the characters. I don't know. I thought it was really cool, and I thought that it really forced you to listen in a way that you maybe wouldn't otherwise, especially because at least in Planet of Lana 1, and we'll see what happens with the sequel here, music, those musical cues ended up being so crucial to the story of like the call and response. And you like heard the da 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 da, and you didn't like the enemies were doing it, and you're like, they're all doing that same sound. What does it mean? And then you later find out what it means, and it's like super critical to the resolution of the story. And I thought that was so cool, and maybe would have been lost if the game had been more focused on language. But then also, I think it's kind of a testament to how you can learn language if you're immersed in it, because obviously you listen to it and you're like, oh, that I know what that word means now. And after I was struck by this, because I know, Jacob, you just play these games back to back. I played Planet of Lana when it came out, and I haven't played it since then. And I was like, I remembered so much of it, and I was really surprised by that. I was like, man, maybe should I just play like games in Spanish to help me learn Spanish faster, because this immersion is like, it's definitely something you have to listen with your heart to what's happening. And I am just really intrigued by the story of what happened with the robots and the people, and the heart of it, the humanity of it. I think is, I don't know, it just feels meaningful.
I appreciate how hard you rode for this game when it came out, because it definitely pushed me to, one, try it, but then two, go back to Planet of Lana 1 before I played this one.
Yeah. Which
I think, given the way they open the game, I would encourage you to play both, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that I'm definitely probably enjoying the first two chapters of Planet of Lana 2 more than I would have if I had no experience with that, but it was just I found it so meaningful to go back into the world and see how the things have changed and how the humans are using the robots and how there's so many more people now, and that's maybe just because, of game development cycles and whatnot, but also I like to think that it's because life is better and the villages are coming together because they're able to travel farther and all these things, and of course Lana, we still have this obsession with the robots and the history here that our main character is really trying to figure out. So I am super excited to keep playing this game. And we'll see if the story lands in the way that the first one did, because I don't know. I think we're probably both in the first third of this game, and the first third of the first game I felt was fairly slow. And then for me, it was the last third where I was like, oh, okay, this is special. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that the pacing in this first third is better than the first third of Planet of Lana.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, I would expect a ramp for sure, and I hope there is one.
Yeah. There's definitely more variety in the puzzles so far.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, review sentiment for this one has been really, really positive. So I'm excited to check it out.
It's just gorgeous. Also,
I only demoed the first game, so I never played the full experience. So I'm excited to jump back in. And from what I remember, I think that you just played it, Jacob, but I think the first one's like 4 hour ish on the shorter side.
Yeah, let me tell you
6 or 8, I think.
Really, it's longer. Oh, okay.
I finished it in 5.5.
Okay. So 6-ish, give or take. Nice. We love a short game. I'm also just excited for this era of like the return of the cinematic platformer this year in a big way. Like we had this game.
Replaced.
I know Joseph's playing Replaced. I'm planning to jump in soon. We had Darwin's Paradox, which I know was a little mixed, but I just like to see devs and companies going back to this like style of game because I think there's something valuable here, and it's quite fun.
For sure.
So, good stuff. Awesome. All right, y'all. I think that brings us to a close. Any good of the order content plugs, things folks should check out? One thing I'll throw out there real quick, and then I'll kick it to you, Jacob. We have an Instagram now, so if you want to watch some of our short form content, you can find us at Crossplay Convos once again. So same as our YouTube and BlueSky, but we're out there on Instagram now.
I would like to plug something that you were involved in, Luke, as well. The VOD for Video Game Trivia, the panel at PAX East, should be up by the time this comes out. I just have the final finishing editing touches to add on to that. Lots of fun. And so if you want to find that, that'll be on my YouTube. But shout out to you, Luke, for capturing some of the fun moments on camera, for Hooper for doing the score for it. We had a lot of fun. BlueSky posted yesterday a clip that mentioned the infamous Greg Miller turn on the fog machine moment. And Greg reposted it, which was cool. And I guess for the record, I should read out what he had said, because I said that he got almost kicked out of PAX, and I guess he wanted me to, not that he wanted me to, but he
had some
provided
additional clarification just for story time.
Just to be like, hey man, don't disparage me like that. He said, and to be clear, the fog machine bit led to PAX being evacuated. I was almost kicked out of PAX when I asked the audience to take their shirts off like me, and another time when we brought audience members on stage to chug beers. So, was never kicked out, was almost kicked out 2 times for not fog machine incident.
Unrelated.
So my apologies to Mr. Greg Miller.
The history books
you don't
have
know
been
who I am,
corrected. We'll get that sent out to the textbook manufacturer right now.
I'll call
love to see it. Yeah, we'll call all the news outlets. We'll get on it. Mm-hmm. Amazing. All right. Well, that was a super fun panel. I'm excited to see the full VOD for folks that weren't in the room.
It was great.
But
watch it again for the vibes.
I probably will.
I'll also shout out our friend Adam Gumbert, who put out the VOD for Game Purdy that I was part of as well.
Yeah, we'll link that in
VOD's on
the
his
show
channel.
notes if you want to check it out. Jacob was on that one. Very entertaining performance. Some friends of the show. Shout out. That was a very fun panel.
Entertaining,
as well.
but also super fun to just play along for the average normie like me who doesn't have a whole lot of super niche trivia knowledge and still did pretty well on that.
Did Adam give away a DVD copy of the Borderlands movie to an audience member during that panel? You got to watch and find out. You got to watch and find out.
He may have.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Well, we are setting our status away until next time. But before then, I'm going to have you do 4 things for us. Drop us a follow on BlueSky. We're at Crossplay Convos, and now also on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Crossplay Convos for the video version of the show. Send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts. And of course, drop us a review on your podcasting and platform of choice because it really truly does help. And until next time, stay curious, stay indie.